Second, okay. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Slim Nation 101's podcast. I'm Slim Overton, and I'm here with a real special guest this evening, and his name is Ronald Goodrich, and he is my brother. And I guess you saw during the intro, or my latest intros, you'll see a picture of four guys standing there together, and they are the Goodrich brothers. And that was me with my three other brothers. And if you didn't recognize Ron, he was the one standing right beside me, who was the tallest, that had the fat face at that time.
Yeah.
I guess you saw that, Ron, right?
Oh yeah.
But anyway,
Absolutely.
that was some time ago. But that was special for me to show that picture in every intro I do on One-on-One's podcast now, because that's a part of me. And then you see me at a real young age, at right about the time I was adopted. So, but that's another story. We'll get into that. We're here today about Ron, and uh, he's been on the show before. He's been on Portsmouth Coffee Talk, which is another show that we do, and he's been on a one-on-one with me before. And then one time he was down here in Virginia Beach, and we did a very personal uh, video. Uh, but he's here today to sort of give us an update on what's been going on with him. Of course, he's married to Anita Tyler Goodrich. Hey, sister-in-law, if you're out there watching. And we want to, well, Ron, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Thanks for
Blessed and
agreeing to
highly
be
favored.
on.
That's all I can say.
And if you see me looking in different places, it's because I got a few screens here, and with the different platforms we're going live with, and every once in a while I have to look at it to make sure that it's running right. But anyway, Ron is here, and he's the manager of boiler services at the McClure Company, and he's been there. I'll let you tell him how long he's been there. He's also a motivational speaker, and he's also, we want to talk about sort of a health scare, I guess, or incident that he had not too long ago. So we're going to get into that, but we want to talk about tell everybody how long you've been working on the job, and then because most people these days, with the young people now,
Oh
they
yeah.
don't stay on the job that
No.
long to get that gold watch or whatever they give these days. They Before they're 30, they have 25 different jobs. But some people from the old school, the baby boomers, and maybe some others, is you kind of value the job that you were in, and if you do it well, they'll treat you well. But anyway, tell everybody how long you've been on that job, and then we'll circle all that into the health thing and what you're doing now going forward.
Okay, at McClure Company, I've been there for um, 35, 36 years at this one company. But I started my career in this industry back in 1974. So I've been in the industry uh, for, I guess it would be 51 years. And it's been a great 51 years for me as far as my work experience and life is concerned. But
Wow,
at McClure Company,
I have to I
36
have to
years, man.
interrupt. I have to
Yeah,
interrupt and say 51 years.
51
That
years, man.
that
And I'm
is
still working. I'm still
Most
working.
people do 25 and that's enough. But 51 years,
I'm
how long the company been in existence? Were you there
uh,
day one?
70. McClure Company is 70 years old right now.
Okay.
They're 70 years old. We just had a birthday a year or so ago, and it's a great company, man. The company's been good to me, have allowed me to do a lot of things that I had a lot of people in my life telling me I would never be able to do. In fact, I started a division within the McClure Company, which is the Boiler Services Division, single-handedly myself. and build it to a decent part of the business,
Mhm. So,
Long
and
time.
so what kind of services do they offer? In the name is boiler services. So, what is this? What
Well,
is that exactly about?
the McClure Company is a mechanical contractor where we do huge piping jobs, installation of all types of HVAC equipment, heating, ventilating, air conditioning systems, and things of that nature. But the boiler division that I work in is only a small part of the company. The company is huge, uh, and we are actually owned by a company from Japan called Sojus, and a big company, and we have like 6 branches, I believe it is, 6 branches throughout Pennsylvania, Maryland, and in Virginia and whatnot. State College, Pennsylvania, Williamsport, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and our corporate office is in Harrisburg here, and we have one in Westminster, Maryland, and we're spreading out down in the What is the DMV? I believe it is. But
Yeah.
we're a company, but we are a mechanical contractor wherein we do ESCO projects. And ESCO projects are projects that we go into schools, systems, and we go in and take out all of the old equipment and put up in new equipment, and we give them guaranteed savings and things like that. We're pretty large right now in the solar business,
Mm.
when we don't do residential, we do commercial and industrial. We go out and we will put a solar farm on acres and acres and acres of land and whatnot. We have a large engineering staff. In fact, in our office, we've grown so much in the last couple of years that we even just purchased a brand new building that we're going to expand to and still keep the current building that we have right now. We have a prefab shop wherein all of the piping and things that go out to these different projects are manufactured. We do stainless steel. We do code welding. We have all of the stamps and things that you need to be able to go out and do the code welding and whatnot. But like I said, the boiler department is only a small part of this big company. But it's personal to me because it's something that I started, something that I built, and the company let me run it like it's a part of me.
Mm.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still working today, because it's
Because
almost
it's
like
your baby.
it's my baby. And in addition to that, a lot of the guys who work for me in my department, as well as some of the other departments in the company, and a lot of the union companies, I basically, as an instructor at the local union hall, trained a lot of these guys over the years also. So not only did I carry the responsibility of running this department, that we make millions and millions of dollars. Who would ever thought that a little old guy from Portsmouth would be working for a big corporation when everybody was telling me I wasn't going to be able to do it? There's a story that when I was first got into this industry here, and I may have told you this story, Slim, before. Um,
Mhm.
uh, I was working as an apprentice, and I was working with a journeyman. And at that particular point, I decided I wanted to be a boiler technician. I wanted to do what Gary was doing. So I
Mhm.
went to my boss one day and I said, "Well, John, I want to be a boiler technician just like Gary." And back in 1974, John told me, he said, "Well, Ron, you can't be a boiler technician." I said, "Well, why, John?" He said, "Because you don't have the capability to learn." I don't
Straight
have the
up.
capability to learn. So that was in 1974. I went home from work that day and I accepted that. I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to be a laborer all my life."
Mm.
And I was sitting down, Slim, and I was watching Walter Cronkite on CBS News, and he was doing a footage of a spaceship that was orbiting the Earth. And when they did a close-up shot of the astronaut that was in that rocket, I looked at it, and what I found out was it was a monkey.
Um,
It was a
I,
monkey. And
I
something hit
remember
me upside my head like a ton of bricks.
that.
Wait a minute. This man just told me that I did not have the capability to learn, but they had a monkey flying a rocket around the Earth. And that was the turning point of my career because I felt like if a monkey could do it, I could do it too.
Yeah,
And,
and and
during that time, there was no such thing as equality. If I was going to do it, I had to be better. And that's what
and
I did. And that's
that's
what I
still
stuck
the
with.
case.
Huh?
That's still the case.
I'm serious. But that's
Even more so nowadays, it's still the case. So you said 51 years, and I
yeah.
guess somebody thinking about the 51 years, they would think, okay, he's been there 50 years, 51 years. That must have been his first job. But it wasn't your first
That
job.
wasn't my first job. No.
And wasn't your first job with a major company. I'm
No.
not talking about
No.
selling fruit off a truck,
Right.
like was
Right.
maybe your first job. I'm
What,
talking about you had jobs with major companies before
right.
you did 51 years at
Yeah.
this company you're with now. Talk
Yeah.
about that.
I
I
started
just
my
want people to know
yeah.
how you know how you can learn to appreciate what you have, a job that you have. And it's all, no job is going to be perfect. Not every day is going to be a great day going in. Some days you want to turn around and
Oh
go
yeah.
back home. But this just shows you, how the stability of one job can mean a lot more in the long run. But anyway, it wasn't the first job, even though
That
you're
wasn't my
51
first.
years. Wasn't the first job with a major company,
And that job was at Honeywell. I started my career at
Honeywell.
Honeywell. Okay. And I basically said that I have a 51-year career, but at the McClure Company, I have 36 years. Okay. But I started my career at Honeywell
Hmm.
way back then. And back then, that it was in the 70s. I believe in my heart today that there was no intention of me ever being able to get to where I am today if I'd have stayed at Honeywell. I worked there, I learned the skills, I learned the trade, and I moved on. You know,
Right.
I moved on. And of course the accident that I had there had a lot to do with that too, because after I had that accident at Honeywell, I just didn't feel comfortable anymore. And I just didn't feel right working there. And that's what caused me to move on. And it's been one of the best moves I ever made in my life, you know.
And that kind of ties in with your safety presentations that we'll get to a
Absolutely.
little later.
Hmm.
But I want you to circle up to the present day, and your working days and everything. And then you had a health diagnosis that sort of, when most people would get this kind of diagnosis, it hits you like a ton of bricks. Just like when the doctor told me I'll be all right, I just need a new heart. And I sat there and said, I didn't believe, I thought I heard what I heard at first.
Hmm.
And then later on it hit me. So talk about your health diagnosis and, you know, eh, coming at a time of life where you were really starting to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Oh yeah. Well, I started having stomach problems. I started having stomach problems, and there were times that me and my wife would go out to eat, and she can tell you this. I would have to lean on the side of the truck. I would get real dizzy. My stomach would hurt and everything. So, in short, I went to the doctor, and they sent me to a gastrologist. I guess that's what you call. And he did some testing, and he did put the scope down my throat. In fact, I had that test done before I came down, to visit you guys down. Remember, we went to Johansson's football game
Yeah.
at Norfolk State, and I had the test done just before that. And so they did all the tests and went down the scope and everything, and they saw something, and they said they wanted to have it tested. So I guess they did the biopsy and everything. And when we came home that night, that Sunday night from down in Virginia, the doctor called that night and basically told me that they discovered cancer in my stomach. And at that particular time, I said, okay, cancer. I didn't get excited. It didn't really bother me, but he told me that I had cancer, and I accepted that at that particular time. And I can never forget my wife said, "Well, we got this," and I wasn't afraid. And then the next day I thought about it. I said, "Wow, this man just told me I had cancer, but nobody told me what I need to do at this particular point. And it went weeks and weeks and weeks, and nobody told me what I had to do. And then I got worried. So I woke up one morning. I said, somebody got to tell me something. So I went to the doctor's office, 6 o'clock in the morning, set up on the doorstep and waited till they came in. I said, what's the deal? What, and it went from that particular point. And then on. So they sent me to see a specialist and everything like that. And I had stomach cancer, man. And they told me how many centimeters it was and all that kind of stuff. And I said, wow, me? I mean, I've just got to the point in my life, man, where I'm able to do things and have all of the things that I want. I got all this stuff, But Slim, I didn't cry. I wasn't afraid. My mindset at that particular point was, gee whiz, I've done well in spite of the monkey, but I've done well. And if it's the Lord's will, man, I'm going to go. I accepted it.
Yeah. Same attitude I had. It must be in the blood.
But
because
but throughout my whole life, my life has been like I was a racer, a sprinter, and I'm jumping these hurdles. And throughout my whole life, I've been jumping hurdles, man. But what I have always done is when I knock that hurdle down, I pick that bad boy up, I put it on my shoulder, and I just keep on going. And I knock the next one down, I pick it up, I put it on my shoulder. I'm just trying to say that as you go through life, man, things are going to get heavy on you. But the people who stop and give up are the ones who fall. And I wasn't raised like that. In my mind, I just had to keep going. And then we got to the point where they wanted to do chemotherapy on me, okay? And that was horrible. I don't care what nobody say. That was probably one of the most, that was one of the worst experiences that I ever had in my life, this chemotherapy, man. 8 weeks of chemotherapy, going in there, sitting there for hours, and they pumping this stuff in me. And it made me feel really weird. And then after they did that, I guess the whole purpose of that was trying to shrink the tumor. And then the time came for surgery. They had me all, and we went to Johns Hopkins, because that was my second opinion. Somebody said you got cancer, you're not going to go to one guy. So we went and got a second opinion. So we ended up at Johns Hopkins, and we had after the chemo, we had scheduled for the surgery, and they had me all prepped. And I think you know about this. They have me all prepped, ready to go and everything. And then all of a sudden I wake up, I said, wow, that wasn't that bad. And they didn't do it.
They hadn't done a thing.
They didn't do nothing. And it scared everybody. Because everybody's, when you go through those type of situations with cancer and they stop, everybody said, oh man, he's terminal, this and that. But I forget exactly what happened, why they didn't do it. So we had to reschedule the surgery. So I had the surgery. And I laid in the hospital, man. And I was like, I wasn't upset, mad. It was just weird, that all of this stuff is happening to me, man, when I worked so hard in my life, just to try to get to this level where I am right now.
Something you see happening to other people.
Yeah. Well, Nita said they saw something else. That's why they didn't do it. But it wasn't anything. At the end of the day, it wasn't anything that was of concern. But we did go through with the surgery. They removed, I think they said about 75% of my stomach. Okay. And it just went from there. And then after that, I had to have another round of chemotherapy. But I'm going to tell you something. Throughout this whole process with the chemotherapy, the surgery, I never stopped working, Slim. I never stopped working. I worked every day on the phone. I went into the office. A lot of time when I went in the office, I didn't know where I was at. But I was determined I wasn't going to sit home because, going through this thing, what I found out is when I was going to chemotherapy, I seen them wheel people in on gurneys, wheelchairs, canes, and everything. But I drove myself there, sat through this treatment, and drove myself out of there. And it made me realize, I say, man, I'm truly blessed that I'm able to, after all this I can still do this. And I think a lot of it was the mindset and the determination that I wasn't going to let it get me down, and that's what I tell people. A lot of people, when they go through these type of situations, they don't like to talk about it. but you never know who you're talking to and what they're going through, that you can say something that can inspire them. And that's
Yeah.
what my life has been like, going
And
through all.
and and it's also therapeutic for you as a
Oh,
patient,
absolutely.
going through it to talk about it, as opposed to keeping a closed lipped about it. That was my experience, and I wanted you to tell that story because a lot of people may benefit. I want to ask you this, because going to work, you said you kept on going to work, and sometimes being around other people, their concern for you can make it a little worse. I can remember getting sick and insisting on going to work, but my clothes were starting to hang off me. And people, I got this every day. "Slip, you losing weight?" And after a while, it was, I would snap back at them, said, what it look like, and then that's when after a while, I decided that I probably should, step away from work. But I kept active, but I just didn't want to be in that environment because people were making it worse
Yeah.
by reminding me every day. I knew when I put on my clothes, they were hanging off,
Yeah.
but so someone to remind me every day. So I asked that, did you experience that? Did it, because people going to see you and they're used to you a certain size, and then you come in there, even though you're still doing what you're supposed to do, but they notice that, and you're either going to get the looks, you're either going to get the "Are you all right?" or people sort of doing extra things that you can still do. Did you experience that, or you just went on about your business?
I went on about my business. I didn't. They gave me that much respect. They gave me that much respect. Even my team who works for me, I had so much respect from my colleagues, my employees. Um, I even went to work. I had a chemo pump on. You
Mm.
know, I think I sent you pictures there. I had a chemo pump on that was actually pumping chemo in it. But I no, I didn't experience that, Slim. I did not. I mean, they left me alone to do what I knew how to do. You know,
Yeah,
and
and that,
that's why I love this company, man, because
yeah. And
they
that's why I said the difference between me and I knew my fellow employees meant well, but it was, I didn't need that reminder every day. So, but yours was a different
yeah,
situation. They saw what was going on and they said, "Well, he's here. Let's not, remind him every day that,
yeah.
oh man, you're getting much smaller." I mean, I had people
Well,
come up, "You lose a lot of weight," they would
I
get
know,
all
but I did.
dramatic.
Yeah,
And I say, like I didn't know it, but
yeah.
I
I
knew they
did
were
lose a lot of
concerned, but
weight.
it was, huh?
I did lose a lot of weight. I
Yeah.
lost probably 60, 70 pounds.
Mm. And
And
that's a lot.
that's for me, because I really wasn't like fat or anything like that. I had a big gut, yeah. But the one day that really made me realize how skinny I was, I took a shower and we have this mirror that goes from the goes vertical mirror, and I walked by that mirror, scared the daylights out of me, man, because I was a skeleton, you know. So, being I like to dress, so uh, I went to put my coat on and to go out and everything was just like putting a blanket on. I said, well, then my mind said, well, where's the pillow? You know, it was that big. So I went out shopping spree. Everybody that know me, I love to shop. I went from like a 46 jacket to a 42 jacket. I went from a 38 in the waist down to a 32. You know, that was a lot of weight. But let me tell you
Yeah.
something about the weight loss. What a lot of people don't understand and realize, and hopefully this will help a lot of people. Um, Going through all of this, I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and I was a diabetic. I was a diabetic. Losing all that weight, I haven't had no medication at all in 2 years.
So
None.
did you change your diet as well? With
No,
or is just
no, I think it was the chemotherapy that scared the heck out of all of that.
is the weight loss that sort of made the difference in all those
Made
issues you
made
had before?
made the difference.
Mm.
I haven't had no medication in 2 years. None. 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 And a
So
lot of
so how's
huh?
your appetite now? You know, you said they took half of or a certain percentage of your stomach out,
If my
the
eyes see
cancerous
it,
part.
if my eyes see it, I'm gonna eat
You
it.
go eat it.
I'm gonna eat it, but I
Did-
suffer for it,
Like they say,
because
seafood.
yeah, I tear it up, steak,
I see
like
it, I eat it.
all that stuff. But it does have an effect on me. I'm supposed to be eating 6 small meals a day, but if I see it, I'm gonna eat it. You
Mm,
know, but losing the weight did help me health wise, because every quarter I have to get checked and tested and everything, and I have to do this like for 5 years, and all my numbers, man, are like it's unreal. Like my I guess my A1C was like 9.5, and now it's like under 6. You know, it's way under the level of being a diabetic. And
yeah.
just losing the weight. I didn't do anything else. You know.
And sometimes things do that to you, and because most men don't go but once a year if they go at all to see a doctor. And a lot of times they don't go until something's wrong. So when you go through something like this, you have those mandatory, like you said, quarterly. And it's the same with me. Every 3 months, I'm in
Yeah.
there. So that's not something I probably would normally do, but it's almost a guarantee you're going to catch something before it
Yeah.
gets too bad because you're going every quarter.
Yeah.
But normally, as most men, we don't go. We might go annually if we're reminded, and that's important. Even
Well,
if you're not sick, you should at least go annually. To
absolutely.
get
And I
things
would I
checked
would
out.
give anybody that advice, man. Like I say,
Mhm.
I tell people, man, if something hurts, you go get it checked out, because something that you may think is just something simple could end up being something major. And me going through this cancer thing, I've seen so many people that I know that have actually died from this while I'm going through this myself, you
Mhm.
know. So you get to realize how this can take you out,
Yeah, and
and
also how blessed you are, because I
yeah,
experienced that too.
yeah.
Saw people that had the same issue I had that didn't make it.
Yeah, it's truly a blessing. I mean, I can tell you that it's truly a blessing because,
Mhm.
like I say, so many people, man, and like I say, I'll be 74 years old this year, and with all that I've gone through, man, I shouldn't be here, and I feel like God ain't done with me yet, man. He's given me a platform that I can go out there and speak to people, and motivate them, inspire them, and things of that nature. So I still got a lot of work to do. I still got a
Yeah.
lot of work to do with me also.
Yeah, so talk about that going forward because I know you were slowed down for a while. I know you're someone that likes to travel. You got family all over the United States. You got family still here in Virginia, and you like to travel. And a part of that travel includes your motivational speaking engagements.
Oh yeah.
So what you went through health wise kind of slows you down. So where are you now? Are you back up to speed as far as traveling and doing what you really like to do?
Actually,
And this
probably
is outside of your job.
this is my own LLC, my own company.
Mhm.
Safety is a tool for life is the title of my presentation, my talks, and things of that nature. And actually, I'm pretty much booked a lot. This year, I've been at Coca-Cola down in Dallas, one of their main plants down there. I was at New York Canal. A lot of people don't know, but up in New York, they have canals that go all through upstate New York where ships go through, and they have an authority to actually take care of this. Which is big.
Mhm.
I'm actually going to be coming up. I'm going to be at the in Nashville, Opryland. After that, that's coming up within the next couple of weeks. I'll be down there, and I'm excited about it because it's a huge event for me. Uh, I think so far, I think I have hundreds of people already registered for my sessions. Then I'm going to be in the National Safety Council in Charlotte, North Carolina, coming up. This is all in April. And then I'm going to be in let's see, Nashville, Charlotte. I'm going to be in Atlanta, Stone Mountain, Atlanta, which hopefully I get to see Jamie and the baby down there. I'm going to be in Denver. I'm doing the United Auto Workers in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is a big one for me. So I'm all over the place, man. I'm pretty much booked, and I'm going to be traveling on the road again, man. And as I get out and I go to these big events and stuff like that, how I generate business is people see me. They're all safety professionals and people who go to these conventions to gather information and everything. So I go there and I speak, and then when they see me, they invite me to their corporations and stuff. And most of my clients have been big clients like the Merck Pharmaceutical, GE Global, so on and so forth. So I'm truly blessed, man, to be able to have that type of forum, and it's something that I wasn't trained to do. It was something that my life experiences gave me the ability to do.
I was going to say that, a lot of times people uh, do safety talks. It's not because they experience them, it's because they learn how to present those kind of safety talks. But your experience,
Yeah.
makes your safety talks a lot more effective, especially if you can share at those conferences what you actually went to and how
Oh yeah.
close you were to death, from a mistake that you probably made.
And
What it boils down to. I mean, not so much a mistake, but sort of going outside of what you normally do. You know,
well,
uh, because you were so well versed in it, you said, "Well, I can do this." But as far as your safety presentations, tell people about that.
yeah,
Pretty much in some cases, you need to stay in your lane.
yeah. Well, there's several things that I speak about. Um, three major things. One is saying no. Saying no. No is a very, very powerful word. And a lot of people don't understand and realize that. But if I had to say no that day when I had that accident, it would never happen.
Right. Sometimes people ask you to do something because they think you can do it, but
Yeah,
you can't. You know
yeah,
you're not qualified, but in your back of your mind, you say, "Well, I should be able to do this. I'm proficient in this. So how hard could this be?"
yeah. And the next thing
But
is stop.
mhm,
If I had said no and then stopped, that accident would never have happened either. And the last thing is asking for help. You see, a lot
mhm,
of people think asking for help demeans them, but anytime you need help, you need to ask for it.
mhm.
Because if you don't ask for it, you're not going to get it. So I should have asked for help. A lot of people
Well,
don't understand. When we talking about this accident, I was electrocuted, burned over 40% of my body,
mhm.
and almost lost my life. And I recovered from that. So if you if you were to listen to me talk, you'll see, wow, this guy's going through a lot, and I have, and I incorporate all of that into my message, even going back to the days of my childhood. When I lived through all of that trauma, you know,
Mhm.
and I put it all mixed in there because when you come to one of my sessions, I will make you laugh, I will make you cry. But most of all, I'm going to make you think. I'm going to make you think about the choices and the decisions that you make. Because when you make bad choices and decisions, bad things could happen. Hold up. Bad things will happen. And you
Yeah,
may not be in the same situation as I am today to talk
to
about
talk about it.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you said you're booked up, so not ending right now, but tell people how they can get in touch with you for future engagements or something like that.
Oh, you can go to my website is basically ronleegoodrich.com. You'll take it straight into my website, and when you go into it, you'll be able to see a little section there where you can put a message and it'll come directly to me, or you can email me at ron.goodrich@aol.com, or Ron Goodrich at mcclureco.com, or they can actually through Facebook, Instagram, any of those forms also.
Okay, so what would you say? I mean, I know you get a chance to speak to younger people outside of your speaking engagements. You run into some people, some high school or something like that, or just sitting around talking. What would your advice to be to a younger person that's thinking about entering into the uh, working world? Because some of us older people say now, you know, you get a good job and you stick with it, but the times are different. Some jobs are temporary. Some jobs you have to leave in order for you to advance. You have to leave another job. Some jobs stops at a certain level, and you have to move on. So, what would your advice to a young man or woman get ready to enter to workforce as far as preparing themselves
Well,
for the
it's funny.
jobs out there?
It's funny you should ask that questions, because in my travels, I also get invited the invitations of to go to universities, colleges, and stuff to talk to the young people. And I would say I tell them to find something that they really want to do, because as we spoke earlier, you see a lot of the young people today, they jump from job to job, and but find something that you want to do, and not just have a job. Make sure you have a career, because a job, when you have a job, there's no security in it. But when you have a career, there is big time security, and you actually build equity up into yourself. So when you get older, like me, you have some resources, and you got something there that you can live your life comfortably. You know, but I basically tell them, like, uh, I basically got all my experience and my education through the union, being a teacher, because I taught for 27 years. Okay, and also when I talk to the young people, if you are college material, go to college and get that degree. But if you're not college material, there are some other alternatives, and those alternatives are the trades, and that's what I've worked in. And God knows I made a great living in the trades. Oh, I was just at Williamson College in Philadelphia talking to the students there, you know, and even though they go there for 4 years, they will get a degree. But the one thing, but at the end of that 4 years, not only are they going to have that degree, but they're going to have a job. And when these guys graduate, these guys are making $150,000 a year with no college debt, none whatsoever. Okay, so just find something that you really want to do and stick with it. And when I say stick with it, just don't do it just to be doing something. Put your mind into it, put your heart into it, and all of the efforts that you can to become the best that you can be at that. And I think that's what I did. And if I didn't, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's right by saying concentrate on the career. Sometimes you might have to take a job to get started, but always having in the back of your mind or in the front of your mind that you're looking for a career. A career, lasts is something you can retire from and sit back after your retirement and really, or you can continue to work like you
Yeah,
do. If you still feel comfortable and it's not stressing you out every day to go to work after so many years, you can continue to work as long as
yeah,
you
I
are
didn't say that.
productive. As long as you're productive and there's no
I didn't say
age
that
cutoff
was
on your job.
it's stressful because as you get older,
Well,
uh, you don't have the patience. They call me a grumpy old man, but because the world is different now, and the one thing about the younger generation today, um, and what they don't get is versus me, for example, my life has been a struggle from day one, and throughout all of those struggles, Slim, I've encountered so many situations, man, that I've learned from. Every mistake that I ever made in my life, I looked at it and looked in the mirror and said, "You did this. You can't blame nobody else." And then I moved forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's what a lot of these young people have to do, man. They have to look at themselves, find out what they want to do. Don't say, "I want to be a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief, and all this kind of stuff." Find just one thing and stick to it and develop that career. I'm serious, man. It'll
And
definitely
sometimes
go ahead. I'm
break
sorry.
the cycle. Some people are in a cycle, a family cycle or a generational cycle that they don't think they're going to get out of. And sometimes you have to be the one that breaks that cycle and say, I'm no longer going to be uh, pigeonholed in this situation. I'm going to do something extra to get out of this, as opposed to accepting where I am and uh, probably going some ways with which you shouldn't, which
Yeah.
could cause trouble for you down the
Oh,
road.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, but that's what I do, Slim. That's what I do. I think that's the blessing of all of these things in my life, man. I've been able to put it all together, put it all together, pull it all together, and turn it into a message for somebody else who may not, have the desire to want to learn, who want to do the right thing and stuff like that. And I know for a fact that I've inspired a lot of people, and I saved a lot of lives for putting my message out there. See, God didn't give me, because a lot of time when you hear me speak, a lot of people say, "Are you a preacher?" No, I'm not a preacher. God didn't give me the pulpit, but He gave me a different form. Every
yeah,
stage, every sidewalk I'm on, that's my pulpit. That's what He gave me. You know.
I, I've seen one of the videos, and I'm not saying this because you're my brother. I'm saying this because I know some of those presentations you give with the companies it's mandatory for some of those employees to go,
Oh yeah.
and they go there with the attitude, "Oh man, well at least it's a time off from work. Maybe I can go to sleep or something like that." But the way you present, you know, after a while, you can see all the people sitting up straight and paying attention, and the one that got me that I saw, and I want you to demonstrate that right now. The one about what you say for the
Yeah.
people to do and what they
Well,
actually see you do.
Well, I do a little thing, when I had my accident, a lot of people tell me, they say, "Well, Ron, what you did was dumb. It was stupid. I would never have did what you did. It would never happen." But what I found out, you never know what you're going to do until you're in a predicament. So everybody told me I was crazy. They would never have done that. So what I do a little exercise where I tell everybody, I hold my hand up like this here. And I have
Mhm.
everybody in the audience to hold a hand up like this here. And I say, "What I want you to do with your hand, I want you to put it on your chin." And I do this real fast. On your chin. And then everybody say they're confused, they're perplexed. And then everybody start laughing. And I say, if this is your chin, you got some pretty messed up looking faces.
Yeah, you got
This is your
chin
chin.
coming out. The
And with all of that being said, what I'm trying to get to them is, remember, everybody told me I was dumb. I was dumb and I was stupid. But I gave a command. I
and I
gave a
see
command.
people actually go to their,
Yeah. I gave a command to put your hand on your chin.
and they did
Okay.
this.
And I
They
did this.
followed you.
But they did what they seen me do, not what I instructed them to do. And that's how people get hurt. That's how people get in jail. That's how people do a lot of things. You know it's not right. You know it's not
Mhm.
right.
But you do it anyway.
You did it anyway. And I almost lost my life because of that. And that is really, really powerful, because if you know something that's not right, if you know this is not your chin, regardless to what you see me do, you should have done this. Some people did
Mhm.
this. I called them sliders. They were covering
Yeah,
all bases. They were confused, and that's when the help comes into effect.
yeah.
Okay, but it's powerful,
Like,
and it goes over very, very, very big. And if you was to do that 3 or 4 times in the same session, there are people sitting in the audience is still going to do the same thing that they see me do, not what I instructed to do. And I tell everybody in the audience who is a manager or a supervisor or anyone in authority, that when you give those instructions, make sure that it's clearly understood. Make sure
mhm.
it's understood. And that's what that's all about.
And also on the other end, if you're on the other end of those instructions, if you don't, if it's not clear to you, ask.
Ask.
Don't sit back and
Absolutely.
say, I don't want to look foolish and ask. But if you don't understand, there's no shame in asking. Remember, our teachers used to always tell us, no question is a dumb question. I mean,
Well,
no.
let me tell you something. In my particular situation, I was burnt over 40% of my body. I had second-degree burns, third-degree burns, and thermal burns. You know what thermal burns are? Thermal burns are burns that you burn from the inside out. It was if someone had put me in a microwave oven and popped me just like you do popcorn.
Mhm.
Because I made a bad choice. I made a bad decision. Give you something to think
Mm.
about.
Yeah.
If you know it's not right, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
That was pretty powerful. That's
Yeah,
pretty
I'm telling
powerful. And that can stretch along a lot of different things, not only in a work environment, but just life in general.
you.
Just like
And
you said.
we were talking about my session. You say a lot of people don't want to be there, but not always, because in a lot of these big conferences that I go to, these people pay to be there. That sometimes the registration fee is $600-700. It ain't free. I mean, I do free, but they pay a lot of money to go to these sessions. And these are all mostly safety professionals
Mm.
that gather all this information to take back to their companies to pass on to their people. So so they
Okay.
so they're not going there just because they really have to. They're going there to gather information. And like some of these conferences, I'm not the only speaker. You know, there may be. I've been in conferences that had 100 speakers. You know, 100 in one
Mm.
conference over the course of a week. Only do 50 minutes, because when you start speaking longer than an hour, you lose people. They'll go to
Mhm.
sleep on you. But I will guarantee you, with the hooping and the hollering and that I'm doing in there, you won't go to sleep on me, because like a lot of people, when you talk about safety, they're bored. Oh, and when you talk about OSHA, oh, but you know what though? OSHA's out there, man, to help save lives. These sessions is out there to help save lives. So if your companies want to send you to a safety conference or something, go there, man, so you can take that information back to your corporations and train your people that they can go home at the end of the day. Let me tell you, I know we're getting short on time, but you know what?
Mhm.
There's another thing that I do, and I can remember my grandkids was here one day. They jump around like little frogs and stuff all over the floor, dancing to the music and everything. And I can remember he put his hands. I have this TV stand uh, they had a glass door on it, okay? And he put his hand on the door. So I was sitting in my recliner one day, and the light of the sun reflected through the glass door, and it shined right on that little hand. And I looked at it. What is that? And I got up and I looked at it. It was a little handprint. And that just made me smile, and it inspired me, because it made me realize if I had died that day when I had that accident, it made me realize if I had died that day when that man told me I may have cancer, and Mr. Goodrich, you may not survive this. It inspired me, man, just to see, just to be alive, just to see that little handprint up there. And I
Mhm.
asked my audience, what is your inspiration? What inspires you? What is it that makes you smile? What is it makes you want to go on with your life? Just that little handprint, just the little things, man, that when you're dead, you don't get to see. Appreciate life. And always
Yeah.
remember that life you may say may be your own. Smokey the Bear told me that.
Yeah. And so often, smoking the bear. And so often we take things for granted.
I'm telling you.
You take life for granted until you have a life altering experience, and you know how real uh, uh, how real your life could end at the drop of a dime.
I'm telling you.
And
I'm telling
it makes you sort of reassess things in life. And when you talk to people, you sort of let them know that.
Oh yeah,
But
I
anyway,
do. Uh,
anyway,
like
Ron,
yeah,
thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. It's always good when you come on, and we're going to have you back. It's always updates. I'm gonna have you back up here one time because I want to know how you feel about some of the politics that's going on here. I don't know if you're a Republican or Democrat or whatever, independent, but we can
I'm
get into
alive.
that.
I'm alive.
We'll
Praise God.
dedicate a show to that because it'll be interesting to see. Hold on, I got to show this. It'll be interesting to. Okay, be interesting to show if we differ on some things or if we think the same on some things. I don't
Um,
know. We never really got in deep into politics when we talk, but you know, we'll reserve that for and keep the people wondering, how these two brothers feel about politics in general.
I don't think we're going to be too far off. But
Trump,
to be honest, in the world that I live in and I work in, uh, I kind of leave the political thing alone. I mean, I will do it here, but I'm talking about I don't get into the 101 things because sometimes it can get pretty heated. I
yeah.
don't like that. And I have a lot of friends that are Republicans, Democrat, whatever, and I'm not going to lose my friendship with people that I've known all my life because they're Republican or whatever, you know. I just don't
And
get into it.
and sometimes that can happen. My thing, especially since I've been doing this, is you know Um, I, I just hope that anybody that opposes or thinks different from me, that at least we can have a conversation.
Well,
And
absolutely.
I might understand you. I might still disagree, but I might understand why you think that way. Not unless you're a pure racist, I'll never understand that. But you might have an opinion about certain things, and I'll say, okay, I understand why you feel that way, because a lot of factors could come into play: how they grew up, in their surroundings right now. And but the key is just having that conversation. And
Oh
some
yeah.
some people you can't talk to. Some
No.
people I will not talk to if
And
I
you can
know
tell.
straight up.
You
Because
can tell. You can tell. You
you
can
can
tell.
tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
I
But we can do
have
that.
people that want to come on the show, and I said, no, that'd be a waste of time.
But
Yeah,
anybody that know
but,
me always got something to say. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something. God did not allow me to continue to live and go through all these things in my life and not have something to say.
and not
And
have something to
not
say
only
about
to
something.
say, but to say, hopefully say something that can inspire and help someone else. It's
Yes,
not about me anymore. It's not about me. I go out and do all these speaking engagement stuff. It's not about the money because I make money. I don't let money make me. I will go out there and do it for free. If it's going to inspire and help one person that he can live another day and go and enjoy his family, his kids, or whatever, that's the gift that God gave me, and I got to use it.
yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that led me to doing these type of things. I never considered myself a professional. That I leave that to the guys that went to school for that. I'm just an amateur that has a platform and like to share information and share guests that have information that might help somebody. So that's what
Yep.
it's all about.
Just
And
keep doing
sometimes
what
we can
you're doing,
get
man.
deep down and dirty in the conversation, but that,
But just keep doing what you're doing because what you're doing can inspire and help a lot of people too. And you're giving people information. You know,
yeah.
that,
Well, I just like the people that come on, that like yourself, that come on that share information. That's what it's all about. That's why I consider all my guests special. So one day I see Jamie tuned in and said, "Awesome show." One day I'll get her on here. I
oh
already
yeah,
did it. I
uh-huh.
did a show with Zuri. I did a show
Yeah.
with my granddaughter.
And I
So
missed that one.
yeah, I'll,
But
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to
okay,
you.
I'm just hoping I have the opportunity to either see them when I'm uh, in Memphis. I'm not Memphis, but Nashville or Atlanta, because
Yeah,
I'm looking forward for those trips because I'm gonna be on the road, man, and I love it, man. Like I said, I don't like traveling. I just love getting there and speaking.
yeah,
Putting that message out there because that's an important part of my life right now, man. If I wasn't doing that, Slim, I tell you, I probably would have died. But it just gives me something to live for. Every time when I
yeah,
get these engagements, man, I get hyped up. And a lot of people say, "Don't you get nervous?" It can be 5,000 people. No, man, that's when I bring it on. The
yeah,
more people, that's when I bring it on. And like I say, I can get pretty raw, you know, unless I'm in a church or something like that, I have to hold back. But uh, if you're going to put the message out there that's going to inspire and help somebody, you can't hold back. Sometimes you got to let them have it. Just like the people told me I was dumb and stupid, they would never have done what I did, but yet they don't know the difference between the chin and the cheek. What?
Yeah, and all those you probably saved them something,
Yeah,
just by showing them, oh, this is how I pay attention.
yeah, but
I
let
I
your
I,
audience
I
know.
don't listen. I just watch what they do and do what they do. So like your grandmama used to say, so they jump off a bridge, you gonna follow them.
Yeah, same thing. Some people do. Some people have jumped off the bridge following people too.
Follow them, yeah.
They locked
Indeed.
up or dead or whatever. So
Yeah,
you, you you have to constantly remind people of a lot of things in their lives that's going to help them live another day. You know, do I want to die? No. Did I worry about dying? No. I do want to live, but I didn't care about if I died or not, Slim. That's the
yeah,
truth. I need to tell you, I never
yeah.
was
Uh,
down
I
about
had
it.
gotten to that point as well. I figured if it was my time, I was ready. But
Yeah.
I don't want to go.
Well,
But what could I do?
all those times coming down to the hospital to visit you and all you was going through and see how positive you was, and you heard me say this a lot. I ain't never in my life seen anybody that was going through what you was going through and not knowing what was going to happen the next day with all these surgeries and all of this stuff like that. You was a positive person, man, and I know for a fact that for what you was going through, you actually inspired a lot of people because you inspired me. And I said, if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah,
If the monkey can drive the rocket around the earth,
around the moon.
hey, that monkey was leaning back too, man. That monkey was
Yeah,
leaning back. And the thing that got me the most is when he looked at me and I looked at him, he said, he was calling me dumb, man. He said, look what I'm doing. You're
yeah,
just a laborer. But uh, all jokes aside, this has been a joy, a pleasure for me to have the opportunity to come and talk to you about some of these things because right now it's an important part of my life. God
yeah,
did continue to give me um, the opportunity to wake up every morning. I used to wake up in the morning, Slim, and say, "Thank you, Lord, for allowing me to put my feet on the floor."
yeah,
And then one day, man, I woke up and I said, "Wait a minute!" I opened my eyes and had to change that. I said, "Thank you, Lord, for allowing me to open my eyes to be able to see." Then put my feet up on the floor. And more than that, be able to pull my pants up but on my own, because I've been in stages of my life that I couldn't do that, you
yeah.
know?
So have I. Yeah,
So, I'm telling
totally dependent on
you,
somebody else,
so
and
maybe I should take you on the
that's
road
no
with me.
fun.
So maybe I should take you on the road with me.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I have something to say.
Okay. Well, you always got something to say. Yeah, we
Yeah,
make something happen. But
yeah,
but life is good, man. I bet the best career ever. I mean, I never thought that I would be in a position doing the things that I'm doing today. I never thought I would be working for a company who, all of the illness and the sickness that I was going through supported me, supported my family. Uh, my job was still there because they knew all that I put into this. They just left me alone and, you know, just let him get through this, and that's the blessing.
yeah.
Make sure you get
Yeah.
that, not just a job, not just a job. You want a career.
You
So
want
you
a career.
into yourself.
Indeed,
I'm
indeed.
serious.
That's the way to go. All right, a special shout out to my daughter Jamie and my granddaughter Zuri. Appreciate you. Love you both. And Ron, again, thank you. And thanks everybody for watching. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you like and make your comments. And if you're watching on the YouTube, we're gonna need you to subscribe and like so they help those help my numbers. We're trying to build the channel up. So and stay tuned. The next week we have about 4 or 5 different guests coming up with different subjects and issues that we're going to talk about. So stay tuned. The Slim Nation 101 podcast will continue. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you next time. And remember to be aware, be informed, and most of all, be involved. I have to put this last one up. A message to you, Ron.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jamie. Love you too. But
All right, everybody, take care, and we'll.
It's time for us to sit down at the table and turn this chaos into something stable. For love, one on one, we will not accept defeat, not on our land, not in our streets. Getting it done, reaching out to save the youth, letting them know the truth. Slim Nation is where good conversations dwell.